Peace and love, peace and love. How's everybody? As promised, I'm Sister Zinga's here from Flooring and Growing with Sister and Zinga. Back here for another Talk About It Tuesday. So thank you everybody who followed me, around the world and back. You know what I say? And I'm giving thanks for that. Thank you for my subscribers. Thanks to get notifications. So as soon as you do a videotape, you pop up and you know what's going on. Continue to do that. And thank you for those who comment. I really need people to more comment to get back to we can have like a little two-way conversation here. I think I'm going to try to do a live again here. I'm speaking about something I'm not really sure of, but I think you can do lives here just so we can have a more of an interactive relationship. So I hope that you are working on emancipating yourself from mental slavery because these days that we're in right now, we are really at war. We are really at war, and you have to find some way to survive all this mess that's going on to be able to maneuver and still hold on to your peace and continue to work on your own ideas and emancipating yourself from mental slavery, freeing yourself from someone else's idea and start moving to ideas and gifts that you were given. Because, each one of us was given a gift. And I have to say that my gift was dancing. One of them. I have to say that one of my gifts is dancing. And then just organizing and collecting people and connecting people, connecting people. So those are things that I was doing. Oh, okay. I have to say my sewing. I learned how to sew when I was in junior high school, and I'll tell you a story in a minute about how I used that skill to make a livelihood out of it. But like I was saying, each of us is given some type of talent because we are here for a purpose. You came here for a purpose. It ain't like you just willy-nilly just popped up. Even though sometimes people could have been a one-night stand or the first time your woman ever had sex. It could be whatever. But if you came across and you're here and you're alive and the Most High allowed you to be here, there was some conversation with you about your coming, and you or giving some gifts in order to sustain yourself. Because the way the society is running, this is really not the way it's supposed to be. Society is really just breeding workers. They're breeding workers. They're not giving people the time to be intuitive or to have and create ideas and let that creativity flow and then use your God-given talents and stuff like that. But the problem is most of us have kind of gotten away from uh, what we come here for because of all the mind controlling things that we've been given, from kindergarten. Now they got what's it called stuff before kindergarten, starter. You do it when you're 4 years old. So I've had that loop for having children for so long. Head Start. You have Head Start, then you got kindergarten, you got first grade, and so forth. So and all that programming is really just programming. And programming you to go and work for somebody else, not programming you to deep down inside to find the things you need to do. They no longer have things like the wood shop, sewing, cooking, mechanical stuff, airplane fixes, all that kind of stuff, the woodworking. They don't have all that stuff in the schools no more. That allowed people to have a skill and to be able to find like, what does I like to do? Maybe I want to be a plumber, so you had opportunity to try this thing out, being a plumber, prior to graduating and so forth. But that stuff, they take that stuff away. Even though there are a few still, what they call, what kind of schools are they called? But the school where you can go and you can get a craft, they still do have a couple of those. But for the most part, it used to be in all schools that you would just get these kind of skills. All schools. Excuse me. Yeah, so everybody was given something, and it's important that as parents that we have to look at our children and recognize, what type of things that we would need to nurture in them because we see them being going towards this or that. And so it's our responsibility to pour into that idea and let them be self-sufficient, let them be able to do something they can do with their mind and with their hands, something nobody else can take from them, and something they don't have to work for somebody else, they can work for themselves. So I'll share my story. I used to have I still got it because I paid for it. So I have a bachelor's degree in computer management science. So I have a bachelor's degree in computer management science, and so when I first got my degree, I got a job right after graduate, which was wonderful. I worked for about like 2 years, and then I was transferred to another location. Okay, so after I went to the other location, I think I worked there for maybe about like 2 years, and One day, actually, it was my first trip to Africa. I was in Africa, and I found this out when I got back. But when I got back, I found out that um, the company had did some decisions and had laid some people off. They make some changes. They said we make some changes, and now we no longer need you. So from what I understand, everybody came to work that day. At 8 o'clock, at 9 o'clock, they was asked certain names was called on a loudspeaker and asked to come to the conference center. When those people came to the conference center, they were told that the company's making some changes and they no longer needed them. Could they go back, clean up their desk, see you later, bye. So I'm glad I wasn't there because I would have been pissed off, But thank God, because I was in the computer department, they kept us for another additional 3 months. You know how they just does usually too. They get what they need from you. So anyway, so they kept us for 3 months to kind of teach some other people about what we was doing, how we did it, and the processes of maintaining the computers at that time. And so when my 3 months was up, I was gone too. I took a little piece. I had to take a little piece of paper and a little bit of money they gave me, and done. You're on your own. But they just fire people on the spot. So at that time, I did try to find another job in my industry, um, but it didn't work out. And so I had moved away at that time. So I ended up coming back to Delaware, and it was a good thing because my father was ill at that time, and I was glad that I came back because he passed me about a year or so after I got back. And but when I got back, I did the same thing. I tried to, find a job in my industry. I did find a little part-time job. A friend of mine had a hardware company. He would pass on his software opportunities that he had to me, and so forth. I did that for a little while, but after I thought about it, I said, well, what's my God-given talents? I know I could sew, I could dance. So me and some other people, if you probably in Delaware, you know about the group called Griots Umoja. Well, me and some other people, we started that group, Griots Umoja, and thank God Griots Umoja is still around a little bit now. They're still doing things here and there. But we started a African drum and dance class. And then I started teaching it. I was the first person to teach African dance at Christiana Cultural Arts Center because while I was in Denver, I danced professionally with a group there called Irepo African Drummers and Dancers from my brother from Nigeria. So I was doing African dance while I was living in Denver at that time. And when I came back, there was no African dance in Delaware, so I started teaching classes at Christina. I think I taught some classes at Kingswood Community Center. But overall, we started our own group and we started performing. So we had African drummers, dancers, and storytellers. At the time, it was me and Mama Pat. No, it was Kim Graham, um, me, Kamal, James Green, and Brother Kenyatta. And so that's how Girls Wild Mojo got started. And so I did that for a while, and then I also started sewing. Because I was in Africa, I had bought several things back. So I had some things I actually bought, authentic things I bought back from Africa itself, and then I just started sewing, 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 sewing. Oh my gosh, I was sewing up a storm. I was sewing things just because to be sewing, but then I started getting gigs to sew things for churches. I did several weddings. Then just friends would say, make me this, excuse me, make me this, make me that, and so it grew into a business, and I ended up turning my living room at my house into like a little shop. And I continued to sew and sew, and so I would do things on request, and then I would just sew things and have things on the wall, on display, whatever. I was making everything, all kind of kufis, crowns, like I said, weddings, church groups, and then it kept on growing and growing and growing. And later I start, buying some merchandise wholesale, adding it to my merchandise, and start selling that. And still, again, I was out of my living room, and I moved from my living room to over to Vanderbilt Avenue because my sister and her husband at that time had a shop on Vanderbilt Avenue, and I was up on the second floor. They had the bookstore downstairs. I was up on the second floor, and then we stayed there for several years. But then we all decided to move downtown on Orange Street. And remember, it was me. It was Indigenous Culture Connection, Honey's Bookstore, Drumbeat Newspaper. Big ups to Drumbeat Newspaper. That was a well needed thing in our community at that time and needed right now. And then Miss Barbara had a travel agency. So it was 4 businesses in one building, and that's what we named that building downtown, the 927 Orange Street, as Freedom Plaza 1. because it was the first. We were actually the first incubator because we have 4 businesses in the one building, and so from there things grew, and from history. Well, some of you don't know history, but then I moved from there to straight to Market Street. That was 827 Market Street. Orange Street was 911 Orange Street, and then 827 Market Street is where I was, and I stayed there for a long time. So, and then I moved to on Ninth Street. That was where I finally closed my store for my location. I was on Ninth Street. So that was the ventures of me, and that was from me using my God-given talents. My dancing. I left somewhere in the story in the middle there, but eventually my business started doing very well, and I was a mom, single mom, and I needed time to make my business successful and raise my children. So I had to step away from griots. And one of the girls that I had taught in the African dance class, I asked her to join on, and she joined on, and Jamila, and she's still dancing with the group now. So your God-given talents can make a way for you. That's really true. Your gifts will make a way. So I did that for like 38. I used to say just roughly 40 years, but when I calculate correctly, it's about 38 years that I had my business in Zinga's Culture Connection, and it did well. And I thank God to the community for supporting me. I used to be a lot involved in the community. I used to do different types of programs and everything. But I just wanted to show how you can use the thing that you have and you can make a business out of whatever you like to do. And it could be anything from cleaning the house. Some people really like to know, like to clean, and so it's nothing wrong with that. You like to clean the house. You like to do hair. You can paint, you could sew, you could draw, you could create. Some people's got some remedies. I know a good friend right now who's doing very well with selling iced tea. He just makes this iced tea, makes that combination that the tea is bland, is slamming, and now he has it in different stores in Wilmington, Delaware. So you have to find what you really like, and use that. And that will emancipate yourself from mental slavery. You will still, and then along while you're doing this, because it's a holistic process of doing these things. So you don't just do one part and the other part. So you can't be still, not being peaceful to people, not being kind, offering love and kindness, and then and still expect someone, to be loving and kind to you, or to be able to have blessings that come your way. So my point is that find out who you are, what you are here for, and work towards that if you already don't have a career. Because some of us get into careers, something that we learn, and we make that a career too, that's fine. But some of us now have the opportunities and where people are losing jobs, and all this funny business going down about employers and way employers are mistreating people. The best thing to do for some, because everybody can't be self-employed because it's not easy to manage. You have to manage that business. You have to do the advertising. So it's not easy. A lot of people just jump into a business and the business doesn't do well because you don't have any business ideas, or having insights or skills about business and management. But if you sometimes you had a if you got a good thing going on, like I was sewing something, but I still had to learn about management. I had to learn about accounting, and so these things I had to learn about and teach myself so I can make sure that as a whole that I'm able to still run this business correctly. It ain't just about me sewing no outfits. You know what I'm saying? So find out what's good inside you. Everybody got something inside you. Look inside, because everything we need is inside of us. Believe that, y'all. Everything you need is inside of you. So if you're having a little difficulty, you can't make up your mind, whatever, just have some quiet time to yourself and just ask the ancestors, just kind of, get to guide you and to be with you and help you get some direction. So I hope that's going to be helpful to you, but find out what you're good at, and don't be ashamed, even if it ain't something nobody else is doing. Like I said, even if you like cleaning house, so everybody got a gift. You like cleaning house. Some people like customer service, so you maybe go work at a store somewhere, and then you just work your way up to management. You don't have to always be like a sales clerk. You can work still with other things that can get you up to a point where you can make an income that's sustainable. But again, and then get together with some other people. If other people got ideas, you see some people doing the same thing. Instead of being competition amongst each other, join together, share your expenses, share your ideas, and share your overhead. And when you purchase, if two other people got stores, they all need to buy bags together. The bags that you use, some supplies, buy those things collectively together. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, find out what's inside of you, because I can tell you again and again and again, everything you need is inside you, all right? So It's right here. It's right here. Everything you need is inside you. God loves you, and so do I. Peace and love. So show me. Give me some share some comments about some things that you're doing, the same some creativity, or have you have created a job for yourself, or if you have an idea and want to know how to, and want some advice about where to start. Just let me know. All right, y'all. Peace and love.